Hello! Thank you for being in a new video. This time I have full review of this, which is Huawei MatePad 11.5 Paper Edition. Let's get started. This Huawei tablet has the particularity of having a screen with an anti-reflective finish, so they added these surnames to its name. It is a very interesting proposal because so far I had not seen another manufacturer that had a similar screen on tablets. It is true that this finish is quite common in several laptops. However, in this type of devices it was not common, I guess, because they are touch screens. At least in the world of laptops I have not seen this finish on touch screens. So it seems to me a very interesting proposal that we are going to know below, but first let me tell you the price. Currently in the Huawei store it is at 10,999 pesos. On screen you see the reference price in dollars just to give you an idea, but remember that the prices here are not the same as over there. They include the stylus, some FreeBuds 5 and the Huawei Watch GT Cyber Edition, so it seems like a pretty complete package. There's even still another premium package that costs more expensive and they include other goodies. So in the description I leave you the purchase link in case you are interested. What do you think if you now accompany me to know point by point the proposal of Huawei? There is no doubt that the anti-reflective finish will be the most attractive point of this tablet. Although this finish also has some points against that, I will tell you. The first one is that it gets very smudged with fingerprints. However, Huawei includes in the box a special cloth with which you can clean this screen with relative ease. So even though it does get smudged, the fact that they include this cleaning cloth is a positive point. Note the difference in the reflections generated by this screen and by a traditional screen. Definitely we are in front of a screen that has a very big appeal, especially for those who will use this device in conditions of high backlighting. In fact, if you are going to use this tablet outdoors, you could have a completely superior display to what other manufacturers could offer because of the treatment of reflections. The body of the tablet is made of an aluminum alloy that many manufacturers have been using lately in this type of devices. On the back cover we see the logo of the brand. At the top we have two microphones and volume buttons, while on the left side will be the on-off button and two speakers. At the bottom we have special pins where we could connect the keyboard accessory. However, in the case of Mexico, this accessory is not officially distributed. On the right side are another two speakers along with the USB-C port. So, a weak point I find is that at least here in Mexico, you could not use it as a total replacement for a laptop because it does not have its official keyboard accessory. However, you could connect another Bluetooth keyboard without any inconvenience. By the way, it has Bluetooth 5.2, and I had forgotten to mention that the USB-C port is the 2.0 version, so it is not high speed. What will be high speed will be its internet connection, as it has Wi-Fi 6 super fast. It weighs 499 grams and is 6.85 millimeters thick. So, we are in front of a tablet that I would consider to have a very good construction, and for this price, I don't know if you are going to find something better. The screen is 11.5 inches and offers a resolution of 2200 by 1440 pixels, giving us a density of 229 pixels per inch. We are in front of an IPS screen with 120 Hz in its refresh rate, so it is a very good screen, whose strongest point is the anti-reflective finish that I had already mentioned. However, it does not have such positive viewing angles due to this same finish. So it is a tablet for personal use because if you were planning to use it with the family to watch videos or movies, definitely people who are watching the content from the side will not have the best experience. Even the contrast of this screen is nothing spectacular. It's much lower than what you'll find on other screens. But again, it's because of the anti-reflective finish. That's why I was telling you that it has pros and cons. In fact, the presence of this anti-reflective finish also produces the presence of something that we could call noise. So that is the price to pay in exchange for having a tablet that does not have this kind of annoying reflections that can be generated with other tablets. You, as a user, are going to decide if you want this one or there is also an edition with a traditional screen finish. The truth of the matter is that it is a very good screen in terms of brightness, both at maximum and minimum, and it is also going to offer us various modes of visual rest or ebook mode to have a comfortable viewing both in the day and at night. In fact, it also has two color calibrations, if you want slightly warmer or cooler colors. And since it has about 120 Hz in its refresh rate, it is also capable of displaying very smooth movements in all system animations. So the display is very good in several respects. The anti-reflective finish is spectacular, although it reduces the contrast and from my point of view also slightly reduces the level of detail along with the viewing angles. The addition of 4 speakers makes the sound really very good. It sounds very loud, without distortion, although I must say that from my point of view, the mid frequencies are a little bit louder than I would like. So the sound is good, I don't think it's spectacular, but let's listen to a little test. But remember that it's not the same to listen to it live. Another thing to consider is that it does not come with a headphone jack, so if you want to connect headphones via cable, you will need a USB-C adapter, which is not included in the box, and if you're going to connect wireless headphones instead, it supports basic codecs like SBC and AAC, but it also supports LHDC HD, in case you have headphones with that higher resolution codec. Now you are about to listen to an audio recorded with the microphones of this tablet.
Esta es una prueba de grabación de audio de esta Huawei MatePad 11.5 PaperMatte Edition, una tablet muy interesante y los micrófonos están en la parte de arriba.
Undoubtedly, its microphones will have good sound pickup with noise cancellation, so they are very useful for video calls. The front camera is 8 megapixels with f2.2 aperture, fixed focus, and can deliver full HD video.
Aquí estoy probando la cámara frontal de esta tablet con los brazos flexionados, entonces estoy bastante cerca y creo que tiene muy buena amplitud. No puede grabar en 4K y ese creo que será un punto posiblemente que no agrade tanto. Ahí estoy con los brazos estirados, muy bien, muy buena amplitud y en este caso estoy enfrente de la ventana, así que tengo una condición de luz muy intensa, pero voy a ir a una zona con luz menor. Aquí estoy en interiores, ya con la luz de fondo, entonces ilumina bien el rostro, aunque a contraluz no va a tener un desempeño muy destacable, pero prácticamente ninguna cámara para videollamadas tiene algo muy destacable en este sentido. La ventaja es que sí ilumina bien mi rostro, entonces perfectamente puedo hacer videollamadas en este tipo de entornos cuando tenemos la luz ahí detrás. Y finalmente aquí estoy haciendo una prueba en un entorno con todavía menos luz y parece que la captación es muy buena. Entonces esta cámara yo la veo muy bien para hacer videollamadas. Creo que tiene muy buena calidad, no vas a sufrir. Comparado contra lo que ofrecen cámaras de laptops en este mismo precio, esta cámara es una maravilla.
On the other hand, the rear camera is 13 megapixels with f1.8 aperture, autofocus, and even gives video in N. You know, on tablets I don't talk much about the camera because I don't usually recommend much that you take pictures with this camera, but there you are looking at some examples. Fortunately, having autofocus does give you a good chance of using this camera. What I personally find very curious is that since it is a tablet, I would like it to include a document scanning mode, but this tablet doesn't have that option. So you will have to download another application to scan documents, but fortunately for scanning QR codes is present its own application called AI Lens. Video recording is also going to be simple. Even though it is in 4K, the quality doesn't really stand out. That's why I always recommend to record or take pictures with a cell phone and then transfer it to the tablet. But if you wanted to take videos and photos with this device, it will also have an acceptable quality. What I didn't like about the video recordings is that the focus is too shaky, so I wouldn't recommend recording so much with this tablet. This device comes with Huawei's operating system, namely Harmony OS. It arrives in its 3.1 version and includes some interesting features that you could take advantage of through software. For example, we have a sidebar that will be displayed by doing this gesture. From this bar, you can configure shortcuts to some applications, and if you open any of them, it will open in floating window mode. In fact, you can open 2 applications in this mode, and you can resize and reposition them wherever you want. You could also minimize them by clicking them to one of the corners or by pressing their specific button. Also, if you already have several minimized, you will be able to have a window view in this part. YouTube, as you notice, looks like it will work in this mode, but when it is fully opened, it goes full screen. So not all apps are supported in this floating window mode yet, but it can come in as a useful tool. Another thing that may come in handy for some people are these hidden widgets inside icons. The icons that have a little white bar at the bottom, you can scroll them up to show more information. So, as I tell you, it can be useful for some people. As part of the Huawei ecosystem, we're also going to have the Super Hub by dragging content into this side container that's going to help us sync with the Super Hub on our cell phone or the Super Hub on our computer. That is, it is a shared clipboard, obviously only between Huawei devices. It also integrates a feature called Follow Cam, which when you turn it on will automatically try to adjust the framing. If you're too far away or if there are a lot of people, it will use the widest possible camera. And if it's just you, it will try to frame you better. Finally, let's see how we can get to take advantage of this pencil, that is the Huawei M Pencil that comes included with your purchase. In this case, it is curious because the design of the tablet does not allow you to charge the pencil directly on it, but you need a cable connected to USB-C and this sticks magnetically. The recognition is immediate, so there is no kind of problem in bonding or anything like that. If we slide from some corner, notice that a menu of options appears with which we can make a screenshot to write on it, having different options of pencils, colors and more. We can also make partial screenshots in this way, and we can select that this content stays floating so that we can quickly take a look at it from anywhere else. Huawei has included a new Notes app that does have cloud sync, so here you could save all your notes and view them on all your devices. The Notes app is considerably good. Notice how it doesn't get confused when your hand is close. You can perfectly rest your whole hand on the screen to write. We have different brushes, and in fact we can switch brushes by double tapping on the stylus to access the eraser. You just have to tap it a bit hard, so it's not that easy to do this gesture, but once you get used to it, you could take advantage of it. It would be better if it had a button instead of doing this gesture to switch, because it doesn't always work as you are realizing. Then it can become a bit desperate. In most cases you are going to prefer to tap here the pencil to be able to keep writing. It also has a stroke selector, so you can move all your annotations around and even resize them to fit better. We can also insert a text box, and in all the text boxes we can write freehand and it will automatically translate it to digital text. Observe how it recognizes the letters very well, and you can even erase what you have already written by simply crossing out in this way. You will also be able to insert images or photographs in this note. We can have a custom clipping in case you prefer to make a clipping with your own pencil in this way, and that's it. Obviously we can accommodate it where we want. We can also have a shape recognition easily. We also have a kind of magnifying glass to magnify the contents of our notes. And although by default you cannot paint with your finger, you could disable this option to allow you to do this action in case you want. And it also has a button to change the background in case you want a totally different canvas, even with a calendar view or similar things, even musical staff. So it is very complete, the Notes application, and you can also insert voice notes. In case you want to record your class while you are taking notes, it can also be very useful. We even have a view of all the pages we have in our note, and obviously all this you can share as PDF, and it also allows you to import PDFs so you can edit them completely to your liking. So the Huawei Notes app also seems to me to be a very strong point. Being a Huawei device, surely the doubt arises whether or not you can use Google applications. And I just want you to see how I already have here YouTube. The only difference compared to other tablets is that it takes a little longer to open. This loading screen takes a few extra seconds, but you can perfectly use YouTube, Google Drive, Gmail, and all the applications you need. then it seems to me that this could no longer be considered as a limitation on Huawei devices. The only thing I would recommend you would be to put an alternative Google account, because at least I do not have the certainty of who is the developer of Gbox that has allowed the execution of all these applications. But as you can see, perfectly works YouTube Music, Google Meet, Google Docs, absolutely all applications, and you can install them without any inconvenience from the app gallery. While referring specifically to the most popular Google applications, forget what I said regarding absolutely all applications, because there are still limitations in the app gallery, which is a store that is growing, but more and more applications are already available here. Let's talk about security, because in this case does not have fingerprint reader, and that seems to me one of its weakest points. Only has facial recognition and is a very simple facial recognition, only in 2 dimensions. Then I would not recommend using this facial recognition. The most advisable will be to use a PIN or password. Fortunately, if you have intelligent unlocking but is not based on location but only while you're connected to devices that you consider trusted. For example, if you have a headset while connected by Bluetooth to those headphones will not be asking you to unlock every time, adds good security options such as application lock and save files so you can keep private content there. Also has a password manager, but unfortunately does not have synchronization in the cloud. I do not know why Huawei still does not have this synchronization of all your keys, as well as Apple and Samsung has it. We will also find the option to search for your tablet in case you have lost it, and last but not least we have the Kids Corner. This is a safe space specifically designed for the little ones, because it has here nothing more options like to record voice notes, an option also to see the pictures they have taken, or also their creations of drawings, because it also has an application to draw that of course is fully compatible with the pencil. They will also have here their own personalized camera so that children can get to have fun. And obviously you can also have access to an app store, but to access you must put the parent pin, which by the way constantly stirs the numbers so that children who are very smart do not learn it so easy. Here we have a very large catalog of applications for children, so although in app gallery applications we could say that it still needs to grow, in applications for children definitely has a very broad experience, as it is a very large catalog that is available here. In the settings of this mode we will find more options. Notice how when you enter this mode children, you can tell it to automatically enable the blue light filter, bad posture alerts, also brightness alerts, bump alerts so that the child will not get hurt, and you could even enable ebook mode as soon as they enter this mode children, so that everything is displayed in grayscale. You could also set the daily time limit. If you want them to only be able to use this tablet for 30 minutes, you put it here, and if you want each session to last a maximum of 15 minutes, you can also put it here, and how much break time you want them to have between each session. So these seem to me to be very useful options on a tablet that you can lend to a little one. Here you can choose what apps you want to be available and also what content from your gallery. And that's pretty much it. Although you could also prevent children from being able to use this tablet while it's charging. So I find this mode quite useful. Here appear the applications that I previously authorized, and obviously to be able to exit this mode we can press this button, and again you have to put the pin, which as I tell you every time appears scrambled. The battery is 7700 milliamps, and like almost all Huawei devices has a very good autonomy, because not only is a battery that has a considerably good capacity, but also Huawei manages very well the applications that are running in the foreground and background. So in my test it ran for almost an hour longer than other tablets run at 50% download. So if we consider 100%, I think it would have given me about 2 hours more than the average performance of other tablets. So the battery is very good. And also includes a power saving mode that you can take advantage of in everyday life. It doesn't have an extreme power saving mode, but in tablets I don't think it's that necessary. And the charger I don't think is its strongest point, but fortunately it does come included in the box. It is 22.5 watts and finished its full charge in about 2.25 hours. I don't consider it a very fast charge, as in 15 minutes it got me back to just 13%. So I didn't like the charge that much, but fortunately it does have a smart charge option. So you could leave it charging all night and it will charge slowly so that when you wake up it will finish charging at 100%. So in some ways this option can help. Finally, let's talk about performance, and for that I'm going to open the Huawei web browser, which unfortunately includes ads before opening it. That is something unacceptable, but consider that you can download any other browser including Google Chrome. However, being the default browser of the system is the one we are going to use for this test. As you can see, I already have several tabs open there, but since I had the browser closed, all these tabs are going to reload the moment I access them. As I'm loading each of these tabs, let me tell you that it has the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 processor. A considerably good processor. It is a processor that we have not seen so much in other tablets or other devices, but in general we could say that it has a good performance. It comes with 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage, so it has very advanced parameters for a tablet of this price. Honestly, it offers very good features. Here you're going to be able to store a lot of documents, a lot of images, a lot of pictures, and it's not going to fill up. And it's also going to allow you to run multiple applications at the same time without seeing constant reboots. Although by the very nature of the operating system you're going to notice that you might have an application restart at some point anyway. But I'm trying to open up multiple tabs here so you can see for yourself the performance that we can get. I've lost count of how many applications we have open at this point, but I want you to continue to notice how the performance is considerably good. It looks like I'm done flipping through all the tabs. Let's go back to the first one and see if it loads again. Indeed, that's too many tabs. So with 8 GB of time, I'm not going to have to wait for all these tabs to stay open. On a Windows laptop, you're not going to notice such drastic restarts, but you might notice slower. In this case, you won't feel a slow experience, but you will feel restarts in tabs or applications. Speaking of applications, let's go now to open other applications quickly so that you more or less you can also see the exchange of applications and not just tabs. And now watch how we can switch between these apps. Let's see, there we are. And it looks like the performance is okay. I don't think it's the most spectacular. However, remember that we're not looking at a high-end tablet that we can get ultra demanding with. It seems to me that the performance is fine. What I would like is a better RAM management in the web browser, but it is also likely that with another web browser you will have a better experience. Now let's export a video that lasts 1 minute, joining 4 clips recorded in 4K with this device, and let's see how long it takes to finish this whole process that could become very time consuming. 1 minute and 7 seconds, it took too long. It seems that this processor is still not very well used in video editing. When inside a game, we can swipe from the top down to access more features like a do not disturb mode, brightness lock, you can take screenshots in both image and video, you can enable game acceleration, and we have some additional options like disabling screenshot gestures and the like so you won't be interrupted while playing a game. A basic suite of tools, but one that can be useful. In Call of Duty, by default, this device loads the graphics quality very high at a high frame rate. In fact, we can go up to a maximum frame rate while maintaining the same graphic quality, which becomes surprising in a device of this price. Having this quality also allows us to enable a lot of special effects. With this configuration, the performance was very good. Definitely for this price, it is surprising that it allows us to run with this same quality. But not only is it amazing that it allows us to select these settings, but even with these settings, it also maintains a very good experience. It is definitely very good, and also consider that being a tablet and having much more space for cooling, we will not notice a very high heating. We do not even get to notice a heating. So the gaming experience is pretty good. PUBG by default is gonna give us HD graphics quality at a high frame rate. In this case, we can go up to HDR graphics since the others are not available at ultra frame rate. In the low graphics quality, we can go up to an extreme frame rate as well. And again, with this maximum setting, we had an excellent experience. It seems that this device is doing very well for those who want to play games without having to spend so much, as it had completely good stability, high rate and detailed graphics. While the rate still does not reach 60 frames per second, you can still enjoy a very good experience. In addition, a curious fact is that due to the anti-reflective finish of the screen, even your fingers will notice that they glide a little smoother compared to traditional screens. So the feeling when playing with the touch buttons on this screen is much more pleasant. On the extreme rate setting, it did hit the 60 frames per second that it should and maintained all the stability. So definitely that the experience is completely good. In this price range, I don't know if you're going to find another tablet that's this good for gaming, only with the particularity that the installation of some games could become a bit more complex, as not all games are present in the app gallery and updating them could also be another complicated element. However, if you are willing to pay this price, it is going to give you a very good experience. In Asphalt 9, we are going to notice that 60 frames per second mode is not available, and we are going to turn the quality up to the highest for testing. With these settings, we had all the stability and 30 frames per second it promised. So, we didn't have any kind of inconvenience. It maintained a totally perfect stability. It would be much better if the game already came optimized so that it did allow the 60 frames per second setting as it allows in other games. But that's up to the developers and not Huawei. So, for now, what we can tell you is that the performance of all this content has been very good, including the moments recording the screen, which, while it might slightly slow down the performance, it's not something that you're going to notice or that's going to affect you while you're playing, so you could use this device to record gameplays with good quality. Lastly, Henshin Impact defaults to low quality, but for this test we upgraded it to medium according to its price, and the frames per second we upped it to 60. Although it started a little unstable because it was loading textures and new areas, after playing for about a minute, the experience stabilized and had a very good fluidity at the time of playing. It should be noted that the graphics were not so advanced, but it is very good. I even think we could have selected a slightly higher graphics quality and still maintained a good experience, albeit with a little less frames per second. But for the price, the test actually passed with flying colors. Just also keep in mind that if you saved your Henshin Impact progress in your Google account, it might be a bit more complicated to resume that progress here. So that's the same thing with other games. You always have to consider that because there are other games that have all your progress saved in Google. For the moment, we've come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, you know you can tell us about it, and we'll see you next time.